This Giant team is the Giant defense is an interesting watch just because of the young players they have. And I don't know what direction they're going to go with their secondary. And that's kind of why I was asking Pat about that, because of the way they were playing their corners. I asked somebody in the Giants about this real quick because Deontay the Banks, the first-round pick from Maryland.
Yep.
He was drafted in the first round of the 2023 draft. I was wondering, watching tape, where he was. And he was listed as a starter, and then I didn't see him, and Cor'dale Flott was playing in his place, and I was going, man, I wonder where Banks is. I was wondering he's hurt. And I asked my guy from the Giants. He said, no, man, they had a competition.
And Flott beat him out? Gosh, CD, I think, toasted Flott last year when he had to come in. That's
kind of where I was thinking. That's why I asked the question about the corners and how they were playing and stuff. And Paulson Adebo, we've seen him before with the Saints, and he's now the corner in with the Giants. And he traveled with Terry McLaurin in that game pretty extensively. And then they tried to play the other side with Flott. And Drew Phillips is their nickel guy.
Is that the Stanford kid?
Which one? Adebo Paulson?
Phillips.
Kentucky,
yeah, okay. There was two tiny corners that we had 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And Drew Phillips was the Kentucky kid.
Yeah, third-round pick out of Kentucky is where he was. So he's your nickel. So I'm trying to figure this thing out and how they're going to potentially play, because they kind of were rotating some guys in and out of the lineups. But if I'm the Cowboys, Dawson, I'm going after Flott in this one. And I honestly, I don't know why. I mean, they're telling he beat the guy out, but man, that seems like, to me, that's a green light special right there.
I love it,
with the way that he was playing. And
now, do you think Adebo's good? Do you avoid Adebo?
I think he's very competitive in the way that he plays. He's very the way he goes about. He's going to drive on more balls. He's going to be around the ball. He's going to defend the ball better. I
think he lacks the deep speed.
Yeah, the deep speed's a problem.
He doesn't run well.
Cough there for a second.
Pickens, I think, could get him down the field.
Yeah, that's the thing. And Pat was right. McLaurin got him one time too, carrying him down the sidelines, and it should have been a touchdown. And Daniels overthrew the pass. But his around the line of scrimmage, his ability to stay with, as far as like initially, and then there comes to be a little bit of separation. But I think there's more separation with Flott in the way that he plays, especially when routes go to the inside. That's my big thing. If you follow me for a while, if a corner could carry a receiver inside and make plays and not have separation, but with this guy, there's separation there. So that secondary could be under siege a little bit there. Now, I kind of feel like you should try and run the ball at this team. And I'm not saying run the ball, specifically run inside, but I think Dallas is equipped to handle Dexter Lawrence. Pat was right about that. He was doubled the majority of this game. And what makes him hard to block, it's not the size. It's how close he plays to the ball. And when he gets right up on the line of scrimmage and he gets a really wide base, and he doesn't give you any ability to fire into him to get movement. I mean, when you watch blockers, and I'm just, over the years, I'm like, what makes this guy so tough? Yeah, he's strong, but he plays so tight to the line of scrimmage, you can't come off the ball and get into him and get any momentum to push him. And that's why he gets so many double teams, is because he's able just to kind of anchor down there, and he stalemates blockers, and then they try and push on him, and he's really not going anywhere. And that's because he doesn't play off the ball. He's just right there. I mean, he literally is breathing the same air as the center when you watch him play. So this will be a tough one.
Does he have help inside with other big guys? Nunez, Robertson, Harris?
Yeah, the thing with Nunez, Roaches, more of a kind of a 3 technique guy.
Kind of a burnout.
Yeah, kind of not like the big. They've had big guys up there before.
Yeah.
Who's the guy the Cowboys had? I can't remember.
Hankins.
Hankins, but
they had Jonathan Hankins, and then
somebody else.
Gosh, they had another.
I know, and I'm drawing a blank on that. I hate.
There's another H. I want to say. I'll find that. I'm going to figure this out.
But see, that's the thing about it is that this Lawrence, he's just so hard to move because I just don't think he gives you much of a space at all. He doesn't give you any ability to fire into him and push.
So you were saying you don't run in them up the middle?
I would say I would the double teams might be okay on him to run off those, but he's not going to get what you don't want him to do is to penetrate and then to cause, because Dallas seems to now be interested in pulling guys and trying to trap and lead and counters and stuff.
Got a big run off that, didn't they?
Some midline stuff, yeah. What was really interesting was, and this was, I didn't know this. When you're watching the tape, you kind of see it, but I didn't know this, that when you're in a situation, Dallas in this game, and it was just a metric that I looked at. I'm like, okay, Dallas did what? Dallas had success in the shotgun running the football, and what they did was they had 9 designed runs out of shotgun formations that resulted in 84 yards and a score in week 1 against Philadelphia. That was 9.3 yards a carry on designed shotgun runs. Okay, here's the kicker for you. The matchup. The Giants defense surrendered 111 yards and a touchdown across 15 design runs out of the shotgun against the Commanders. So that was the most such yards allowed by any team's defense in week 1 off design runs. So Cowboys had some success against the Eagles. We're kind of like going, oh, well, maybe they shouldn't try and run the ball, and all of a sudden they're in the shotgun and running the football. So
sounds like a game where you try to run it 30, 40 times.
I think this is a game where you absolutely try and run it. And where I would run it is I would try and go after these on these edges is what I would do. I'm not interested in all of a sudden just keep dropping back.
No. And that's how you could lose.
Yeah, and dropping back and throwing the ball and then letting Burns and Carter and Thibodeau rush the passer.
How do you think they're going to do against Steele and Guyton? Just tally up 10 pressures?
It's going to be I think to me it's the one you need to worry about, I think, more than any other is probably going to be Steele in this one. Because of Thibodeau to that side. Thibodeau has done a lot better as a pass rusher than he has in his career. There's been times where he's kind of like been labeled as man, what's wrong with this guy? High draft pick, just hadn't done anything. But he's kind of figured out some things as a pass rusher here. And
where's Burns coming from? Because I think he had 2 sacks against Washington.
Burns is they flip sides. So what happens is you could get him playing left and right, and then what they were doing with Carter, they were bringing Carter in on 3rd down. Well, now with some of the problems that they're having with their linebacking core, this Darius Marisal. He was
linebacker.
Yeah, dude, he was a struggle bus.
He was really struggling in that game.
Losing Micah McFadden for them is huge in the run game and the pass game.
And you're absolutely right about both. You're absolutely right about that both. So, like I say, they were talking about. Pat was talking about the possibility of using Abdul Carter as an off-ball linebacker. Well, they had some snaps where Carter was playing off-ball. And they also had some snaps where Burns was playing off-ball linebacker.
That's advantage Cowboys. If you're telling me that Brian Burns and Abdul Carter are not going to be getting after the quarterback on any particular play, I'll take my chances.
I wonder if they're gonna play him off-ball, but attack him like what the Cowboys used to do with Micah.
Just blitzing him.
Yeah.
I mean, you do that.
Yeah. So to me, this is the strength of this Giant defense, in my opinion, is those pass rushers. The thing that's a little bit of a liability is their secondary. And me personally, I would run at their edges more so than I would run inside, is how I would try and play this game this week.
After looking at both of them, what's your early prediction if we wanted to go a day early? Do you think the Cowboys cover that 4.5?
I think the Cowboys will be okay in this game. I do. As long as Russell Wilson's starting for the Giants in this game, Now, if they go to Jackson Dart, I agree again with Pat. I think that might give them a little lift.
You think that's a win-now move?
I think that's a win-now move because they think the ball will go down the field. I don't think Russell Wilson wants to throw the ball in the middle of the field. And that's where, that's to me where Neighbors and Robinson and those guys kind of make some plays. But I think Dallas, if in fact that Cor'dale Flott is playing as one of the starting corners, that's the guy I try to attack. And actually, I think he's worse than what. Well, I take that back. I don't think he was as worse as what you had last week
with Adoree Jackson.
With Adoree Jackson,
he's not good,
but it's very similar. It's very, very similar to how things need to be played.
G-Men, one of the worst 5 teams in the league.
I think so.
Oh yeah,
I think so.
I think the Cowboys are going to crush them.
Do you really?
Yeah, I mean, I think that they have matchups that I think are beneficial to the Cowboys' offense across the board. Like, I don't think they're going to be able to cover Lamb and Pickens. And then you don't even factor in what Ferguson possibly
can you protect,
could do.
Though? That's the thing about it is.
I think they can protect long enough, yeah. I think they'll be okay.
I was reading a fantasy preview, and they love Pickens against, it's a Debo, Paulson Adebo.
Yeah.
Debo can't run downfield.
That's the problem with him. Can I say something real quick here?
Yeah.
Just real quick in this thing? This is something that I pulled that I hate to nerd out on you, but I did it for my show this morning. I brought this up. The matchup they say to watch is Cowboys wide receivers versus off coverage. Mm-hmm. And I brought this up because they said this, and tell me if you guys realize this. The Cowboys wide receiver recorded the 5th lowest catch rate, 61%, and an average of league low of 6.4 yards per target when facing off coverage. That's 5 or more yards of cushion last season. Notably, CeeDee Lamb averaged 1.6 yards per route when facing off coverage. That was his lowest mark in a season since his rookie year of 2020, where he was at 1.5. Acquisition on this is interesting. The offseason acquisition of George Pickens' career averaged a career high in yards per target, 9.1, and yards per route, 2.3, versus off coverage in 2024. He's a better off coverage wide receiver than Lamb. I kind of felt like that Lamb. I didn't feel like that his number was that low. Mm-mm. But here's the matchup. The Giants' defense aligned with their cornerbacks in off coverage on 69% of the snaps last season. That's the 4th highest rate in the NFL. If you're the Giants, would you consider pressing these Cowboy wide receivers? And especially, would you consider playing off coverage and seeing to make sure you take care of Lamb in this game?
Yeah, I think they got to try and do what the Cowboys did last week with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith play more zone.
Yeah, so if that's the case, then maybe this is a game for George Pickens if there's a lot of off coverage.
I can definitely see it.